Okay, for this video number 2 in the series on using R packages, we're looking at TidyData. So TidyData allows you to manipulate data more effectively using non-manual approaches. TidyData belongs to the Tidyverse. There are many different packages that all link together, and we'll see ones like dplyr, reader, tidyr, tibbles, and ggplot, all of which link together to manipulate data. And we have different formats. Some of the formats are known as uh, a long data format, and sometimes we have wide data. Wide data is the traditional format that we're used to, where we have a table like this, and we have a bunch of features measured as the columns, and then maybe a bunch of samples here measured as the rows. We can convert this to a long format using R, and we're going to look at that in the tidyverse, where we have the different samples listed here at the first column, and then we might have another column containing the features and then the individual measurements here at the end. It's a more convenient way for manipulating data in R. As you can see there, long data and how it's different from, wide data and how it's different from long data. So the center principles behind TidyData is that each variable has its own column, each observation has its own row, which means the data are very, very long, and each value has its own cell. So instead of having data like this, where we have a bunch of variables and measurements for different samples here in the first column, instead, we bring them all together so that we have, say, a country referring to a year with a value, and then a country has a cases and a value, and country has a population and a value, all of which are linked to that country. Or we can combine multiple areas together, like country, year, and cases, or country, year, and population, for example. So if we have data like this, where we have a sample, a sex, a group, and measurement, we might be able to bring this all together so that we just have one measurement per row, as we have here. These are sometimes known as tibbles, which is a light type of flexible data frame. Typically, they're really very long, like this example here, which is 1.8 million entries with just 5 columns. So it's looking at baby names. So you've got the year, the sex, the name, the numbers, and then the proportion as a fraction of the total population. So these are flexible data frames, and this is a kind of long data format. So to get TidyData, the center principles are similar to what you had so far, where you have a function that takes in data as an argument there, and the data is sent to that function to do something. We can assign that value, that output, to a new variable new. And in ggplot, what we're going to find is that we can use this, but also add on the plus sign to add on additional commands. So if we're using ggplot, for example, we can think of this as constructing a kind of canvas to make an image, where we have the background put on first, and then we add on something else on top of that. And then maybe we can even add on something else here as well, too, on top of that further. The key command or key symbol that we use to do that is known as a pipe. So pipe looks like this. That's one version of a pipe. And it simply means and then. So we're saying we're taking this data set and then we're doing something to it. So we put this at the end of the line, like the plus sign, so that OR knows the command is incomplete. So we take our data set and then we pipe it out to a function that has parameters, and we pipe it further. So we think about taking our full data set here, and then we're just taking a subset of it for the function 1, and then a further subset here for function 2 to the parts that is of interest to us. So an example of that is taking the Davis dataset, which contained a bunch of heights and weights, and then we're going to filter it to get the people that are in the smallest half of the total heights, and then we can pipe it again at the end here to arrange them by descending height, and then just select the columns with sex, weight, and reported weight, for example. We're going to focus on 2 commands. In particular, one key one is called gathering, and that transforms our wide data into long data. Spread is also a similar function that does that. That means we might have Tom and Dick here, and they have blood before and after, a muscle before and after, and they have a bunch of values here. This is the wide data format that we're familiar with. If we gather together, basically what we're doing is we're turning into Tom and Dick here, having a column with a time, a column with the the source or type of measurement, and then the actual value at the end. So each value has one row. So Tom and Dick, multiple entries, the time has multiple entries, the type has multiple entries, but the measurement is only once. And to do this, we're sending our data to pipe it in to gather together. And that takes the data set of interest. It creates new variables for the columns, and then we can add on additional column names as well if we want. So the gather function is very, very convenient to do all this in a single command. So that's what we're going to talk about in the demo video for TidyData. Please look at that. That will cover in detail TidyData concepts, the pipe operator, key manipulations like select, filter, arrange, and so on. It'll let you make data tidy with gather, and also you'll be able to join functions to link data sets together as well.